All right, we're live. Tales from the Flip Side, episode 269, I think. I don't even know what I put anymore. We got Kang news that would drop today. We're going to talk about that. We have more news with other things coming out. We have some TV stuff, some movie stuff, market report that Mr. Z did that we didn't do, but it's okay. We can 297. We can do some market report, and I know I don't have pickups, but maybe you do, Chris. I don't know. You?
I got one book that I'll show off.
Look at that! I like it. Always coming through clutch for us. Cool. Look at all these people. I will say before we get this kind of thing started, is I don't know about next week. Obviously, it's Christmas on Monday, so I know a lot of people will be doing their thing. Maybe Carter and me might do a Boxing Day one because it's Tuesday and I have the day off, even though I have a week off. But me and Carter might actually do something. So that's cool. Okay, so let's get this going. Let's do the old intro. Let's go. Hopefully I don't. I told Chris before the show. Hopefully I don't cough through this whole thing. It's great. Okay. Let's do a wrap. The man of the show. Hopefully he can join us soon, like Paul. The return of Paul's problems last week. He posted out here that Netflix is reportedly in talks to acquire live action rights to Balers Gate 3, which is I haven't played the new Balers Gate on PC, but I heard it was great. One of the guys at work plays Balers Gate. He started it and then just lost track of time and hasn't picked it up again, but I hear it's phenomenal.
Yeah, I hear good things. And I mean, at this point, like Netflix has finally figured out what seems to be the proper recipe for these live action adaptations. So they're like, hey, while expectations are high and people are investing money in buying subscriptions to watch our stuff, let's strike like iron hot and get as much out there as we possibly can. So I ain't hating on it.
I just kind of threw this out here. I guess IDW did I don't know if this corresponds with the actual video game because I'm not deep into it, but I guess there are some Baldur's Gates, different comics. I guess I don't know, but just things to look out for. I guess if you're cruising old boxes, that's all they break. Captain America: Brave New World hires scribe Matthew Orton. Additional shooting planned for mid 2024.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. That's hiring somebody else to finish up the reshoots. I'm not saying I'm worried, but that's definitely not how that. I mean, okay, so typically your reshoots are your second unit folks anyway, so it's usually not like the people who were responsible for things running your second unit reshoots. But you normally don't publicize that you brought somebody else in to punch up stuff for reshoots and second unit stuff. So I don't know.
Could you explain that a little bit more for us layman's people? I know. Like when you do a comedy, you do like a punch up, like add jokes or whatever. But what would you punch up in like a superhero movie? I guess is it just jokes or?
Well, I mean, like potentially jokes, potentially content. So the whole concept of second unit stuff. From my experience with it is, it's connective tissue stuff. When I say that, I mean like connecting shots. So it's the stuff that you may have not gotten for coverage purposes, like somebody opening doors or, maybe explosion stuff that you needed like tertiary scenes of or whatever.
Maybe like drone landscape stuff, shooting around maybe. Or something.
I mean, it really can be anything that's not printable production can end up in the hands of second unit type stuff, and reshoots can really be anything like that. Truly can be mainline production stuff. It could be, we didn't get that shot as well as we thought we did, or we didn't get the coverage, so we just have no way of showing the completeness of the scene. So we got to go back and reshoot it so that we can, or something went wrong and something went off and we thought we got it, and then when we watched the dailies or we went back and rewatched the footage, we were like, oh, that didn't go as planned, but we can't go back and restage and reshoot that because getting permits and things are very much so in this moment. Like your permits are good for this period of time, so you have to request permits to go back and get that coverage and things like that. So But yeah, typically though, that's handled by the people who run what's known as second unit. And so for them to bring in a new writer just to punch up stuff, what we thought would have been done at this point, it just seems a little weird. So,
I know you're saying it's not. Are you on the fence about this? Brave New World kind of Captain America. You think it's gonna flounder?
I mean, as a true Marvel fan, like I'm just getting worried about everything that Marvel does at this point. It's just like like it's a shell of its former self. As sad as it is to finally admit that and say it out loud, it's like, yeah, I mean, what we had to begin this and in this heyday, this ain't it. And there's a lot of like question marks whenever things come out. You're just like, all right, well, what does that mean for the production? What does that mean for the future of the MCU when the things that they used to so easily be able to accomplish now seems to take so much more effort and requires so much more work to get done. So
they're trying to act like reshoots aren't uncommon. They're moved for a movie that's finished. I lost all hope in their future projects. Oh geez. So interesting. Hood, what up, baby?
What's going on, guys?
What's man?
How's it going?
Appreciate you joining the show, baby.
Yeah, man. Something happened to Johnathan Majors, bro?
We're gonna talk about that. Yeah, we're gonna talk about that's the last. I usually leave the juicy one for the last one. Reacher. So obviously, for people who don't know, I read the book too of the new season. Reacher came out 3 episodes on Amazon Prime for season 2. First 3 episodes drop, and then we get a drop every Thursday with a new episode. So this Thursday we should have a new episode. But yeah, it's I like it. This is Paul just sent us this that Alan Rickson wrote Tom Cruise a letter, and he never got the letter and stuff like that. But it's just funny. I just get people out there to talk about Reacher. I think like Z said a couple podcasts ago. I'm sure I know they write a book for it, but I don't even think they need to write a book for these. Honestly, it's just get him out there smashing people. He could do like 20 seasons of this. I don't know if I get tired of it.
Yeah, man, it's good. Reacher's good, man. I like the first season, man.
Yeah.
Well, so to connect that to, and I really enjoyed this season. So not to jump off the topic, but I really enjoyed this season so far. We're 3 episodes in.
Yep.
Didn't watch the first one in real time, so I caught it after the fact, and I was like, man, this was really good. I wish I had watched this in real time. But that means that my wait for season 2 wasn't super long. Like I only had to wait I think maybe 2 months before season 2 was available.
Oh boy, yeah.
But the cool thing about this, so I'm a big fan of Alan Richardson. Like I've been following him since
Blue Mountain State.
Nah, dude, we got to go back further than that. I remember when he was on. He was actually, I want to say, the Aquaman teenager in what was supposed to be a spinoff from Smallville. So, I think that was him actually. So he was supposed to be Aquaman, and when they were supposed to be doing this whole teen thing, and so they were trying to backdoor pilot a bunch of teen-focused WB related type of stuff. And so they had Oliver Queen made his. He actually stuck around. They had a Flash character. They had a Cyborg, and they had an Aquaman that was supposed to eventually be in his own deal. Yep. So he was Arthur Curry. So I've been a fan of his since back then, and then he went on to Blue Mountain State, and he was actually the voice of Raphael in the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle live action films. Dude just seems like he's a good dude and really likes doing what he does. So. But yeah, so there's been rumors floating around that apparently he came out and said that he would be really interested in playing Batman in the Brave and the Bold. Mm-hmm. And so I dropped a link to that in the chat. So I think that would be pretty cool. I mean, I don't know how well. I mean, somebody made a comment he'd be the most jacked Bruce Wayne we've ever had. Dude,
he gained he said he gained for the new season like I don't even know how he does it. 20 extra pounds of muscle. I mean, he looked ripped in that one shirtless. I don't know if it's CGI, but he looked fucking.
Nah, he's got genetics on his side. He's a combination of the genetic freak. I mean, I'm not gonna say like The Rock or whatever, but you have those people who are just the genetic freaks who can put on muscle.
Scott Steiner, he ain't fucking around.
Yeah, like it's their job. Like he just.
Yeah, I mean he's fucking ripped.
Yeah, because I mean you can say all you want about steroids. Like steroids just help with recovery. You still got to you still got to put the work in. Like it only makes you bounce back from doing the damage to your body in the gym. Like if you just don't have that work ethic, you're just not going to get big.
Yeah, he fucking ripped. I mean,
and that level of cutness, I mean, like again, you could be on a bunch of different cycles, but it still takes work. Like you still got to eat right. It ain't going to do it for you. So yeah,
Hood, you could take him.
Yeah,
I'll scratch his eyes out, bro.
But yeah, I think he is a Batman who, I mean, I don't know, man. I think like somebody say more like Bane. I would say nah. Like for a comic book accurate portrayal of Bane would have to be a fucking monster.
I mean, like we're not saying that he didn't get help with HGH or steroid or whatever it is, but I mean, still, to put the, like you said, the discipline on it and stuff like that. Like we all remember like Zac Efron in Baywatch, right? He was fucking miserable.
Yeah,
he was eating like an apple a day and fucking just being miserable, even though he looked yoked in that movie, you know?
Yeah, like I mean, you can put on size, like the gear and the cycles will help. Like you can put on size, but like you still got to put in the work to get cut. Also, like you still have to like do the balancing act of maintaining your muscle mass and also cutting weight at the same time. And yeah, so kudos to him. But yeah, like the dude, I think would make for. I don't know. I think he would be a cool take on Batman.
I think so too. It's like something you don't see. It's not like he's not like, I'm not saying Robert Pattinson isn't a high class actor, but it used to be it used to be every leading man, right? Michael Keaton back in the day, Val Kilmer, George Clooney. You just don't see like, I wouldn't call Alan Rickson a no name person, but not like a top tier A-level star, I guess.
Yeah, no, I mean it would be cool to have somebody like that playing the role. It's somebody who's actually like whenever people who are like, I'm really interested in playing this character, like, I don't know, like that gets my attention because that means that you probably read a comic or two. Like you maybe have some actual interest in the character more than the paycheck. So I don't know. I mean, will it happen? Probably not, but it'd be cool to see it if it did. I just don't think he's big enough star to get the role.
Well, I think, I always think we think of movies. I wouldn't mind him doing like I guess maybe a limited series of Batman or something like that, like
that would be cool. I just don't know if, like, again, we still haven't heard anything about if they've raised those like blocks that they used to have in place where, DC / Warner Bros. Like you can't do Batman in a television show.
Yeah.
Like they are still to this day, like post Batman 1960s, like will not let you do Batman. Like you can't show Batman in the suit. You can't do there are all these rules in place. Maybe it'll be different if it came directly from DC because a lot of those properties were DC adjacent, the television division and things like that. But now it's all under the grand DC Extended Universe umbrella. So maybe that'll be a different story. I don't know. But yeah, I would love to see a Batman TV series, but that also would just be grueling work to do that properly. I feel like to do a Batman like series, like television series that would be respectable properly on week in and week out for 13 episodes a season.
Well, I'm saying maybe how like Netflix. I know Netflix is a whole different animal, but like a 4-part limited series per season focused on maybe a villain. You know what I'm saying? Where it's not crazy amount of work, but I think you can get like the beginning, the arch.
Yeah, I mean, because at the end of the day, I mean, HBO falls under the umbrella of Warner Brothers, which falls under the umbrella, which is part of the family of DC as well. So, I mean, maybe a limited series HBO caliber type thing would be something to see. I mean, they canceled all that stuff that was supposed to happen, except for like the Penguin series.
And I'd rather gamble on him than all those other, I wouldn't say shit properties, but at least that shit they canceled. At least you got this guy where, he's interested. You could. I mean, like you said, it can't go no worse than any other fucking thing. Like how much money you waste on Batgirl or whatever the fuck they had. Remember? Like,
yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see, but yeah, he seemed like he'd be happy to play the role. So,
has Reacher season 2 started already?
Yeah. So season 2 started. 3 episodes already dropped on last Thursday. Every Thursday.
No shit.
Yeah. I was surprised because I loaded it Thursday night. And I thought they were going to drop on Friday because it said 12:15, and they were up on Thursday night. So 3 episodes on season 2, and then every Thursday from now on, we get a new episode.
Damn it. All right.
Something to watch tonight.
Yeah. It's
Yes.
good.
I'll see you guys, bro. Hey, no, I'm just playing.
So, just so everybody can see. So this is just the first 3 seasons, the first 3 episodes, and then episode 4 is on the 22nd. The book in the just for me, the book in the I watched the book. I read the book too, and it's the same, all the same characters, just the locations that change. So like in the book, it's California and Las Vegas. In the TV series, it's New York and Atlantic City. Everything else is kind of the same. There's a lot of traveling and stuff like that because the book's obviously more detailed, but it's pretty much on point. So. This is interesting. I think Paul sent this to me. Somebody sent this to me. Wolverine, they just solved every inconsistency with his healing factor in 1 sentence. So everyone was like, how does he heal all this stuff? And I'm going to try to pull it up right now. Trying to be on top of my game here. Dun, 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 dun. And basically, it comes down to... sorry, I'm scrolling so much. Yeah, Paul sent this. It comes down to calorie intake. That's what they kind of say. So his caloric intake is directly linked to his healing rate. So.
I mean, it makes sense. I mean, that's can't generate matter from nothing if they're trying to play by some form of actual scientific logic. So he's got to eat. I mean, it's very reminiscent of. There's a couple other characters, in comics who have to eat to maintain their size. I mean, there's even one in My Hero Academia who, burns calories at a ridiculous rate and has to eat to put it back on again.
Yeah, so X-Men 29, first appearance of his. No, just we'll see. So no, I just thought that was interesting. So something. And the last one, obviously, this is the big story of the night. So Jonathan Majors, aka Kang, I'd like to hear what everybody hears about this one. This ought to be interesting, the theories and stuff. Fired by Disney/Marvel after assault guilty verdict. I think it was this morning, right, Chris? I think it was today, right?
Trial was I think the verdict came through at about 3:00 this afternoon, and he was canned by 4 or 5 o'clock. So,
I mean, I know there's a lot of writers, RIDERS, in your contract when it comes to stuff like this and other things. I'm sure Avengers 8 are going to take a bath eventually if they don't recast them somehow or multiverse kind of thing.
I mean, the people who are in the know have been making claims that they are still invested in the character, and so that they will more than likely recast it. It's not like they haven't done it before because it was referenced in the form of Ed Norton and with Ed Norton getting recast and Terence Howard getting recast. So they're not against it or above it. So it will be interesting to see how that plays out. How fans respond to it. Are people so invested in him after seeing him in 3 properties? Or they've seen him in Loki twice and then in Ant-Man Quantumania. So again, are people that invested in the portrayal? I mean, because I think there's some other black actors in Hollywood who are worth their salt who could pick up and run with this.
Do you have any suggestions?
Homeboy from what's the show? I think Snowfall. Something Idris or
Damson.
Yep. Yeah, Damson Idris. I think put some mass on him. He could potentially do it. He's got the chops. People brought up the fact that it sucks that what's his face played the High Evolutionary because he easily could have slipped in and done it.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's a couple cats out there. I have to really look through the current list, but I think there are people who could slip in and take over. They just need a little bit of time, but they have the skills. So,
well, I think this whole multiverse has saved Marvel Disney, where in case the Amber Heard situation, kind of this situation. You know what I'm saying? I know DC doesn't have the multiverse yet, but it's they kind of gotten themselves out where they don't have to like relay on like Robert Downey Jr. says Iron Man and he's what I'm saying. So I don't know. I mean, we also heard rumors. A lot of people were talking about Doom, right? I know we talked about it. Like Doom may be the next big bad, I guess you would call it.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is I don't know. I would love to see the Kang story like played out. I'm a little annoyed at the fact that they are trying to do a Secret Wars without Doom and trying to slot in Kang. So making that adjustment would be nice or interesting, but I don't know. I would like to see the Kang story told as it was meant to be told, versus them trying to like pivot because they're like, oh, the actor we had in place for this didn't pan out, so we just need to scrap the whole thing. I don't know.
Hood, got any
Do you
suggestions?
think they have a full Kang story?
I think they did. I think they had a general idea, like overarching idea of where they saw themselves ending up, and it culminated in a Secret Wars type scenario. I think we absolutely, with the Kang Dynasty, basically just take Secret Wars 2015, swap out Doom for Kang. Kang wins, and then we have a group of people who try and find their way, like come together to undo what Kang did in his changes in time and space. So mix in some 2015 Secret Wars with a little bit of House of M type of story arc type situation, and I think that's generally speaking where they were going with this. At least that's my idea from from the titles, what information has leaked out. That's kind of where they were going. So culminating in a massive reboot of all of the MCU. So recasting and finding a way to meld in the X-Men and the Fantastic Four and having a singular like vision of this is the MCU going forward now with the changes, and that contains all of our new heroes recasting, because they knew they lost something special when they got rid of Iron Man, when they got rid of Captain America. Maybe Iron Man maybe stays dead, but other characters might see a return to their original portrayals, or when I say originals, like the original character who carried that mantle, like a Steve Rogers or someone like that coming back and taking over again, and then them going forward with the status quo with a new set of adventures or whatever that may be. So,
Do you think it was a mistake not recasting T'Challa?
absolutely.
Right? Because Chris, I always thought that you could have recasted him with Michael B. Jordan, and people would have been okay with it.
I don't. I wouldn't have gone that route. I think just finding another actor to pick up the T'Challa mantle would have made sense. Not necessarily messing around with whoever's already played characters, because also it didn't seem like he really wanted to. Like, I mean, you got to believe that Michael B. Jordan had the opportunity to play like some character that had a long running opportunity in the MCU. He chose not to want to do that. Like, and he came back for a cameo, spoilers for Black Panther 2. But I don't think Michael B. Jordan wanted to be tethered to, because at that same time,
he had a lot of projects going on at the same time too, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, he had started doing his directing, like he had his directorial debut on its way. He had started producing. He has his own production company. I think he had different visions, and he didn't want to end up in a scenario where he was tied to Marvel for the next 10 years. Like, he didn't want that to define his career. And so good on him for like being like, hey, I did my piece. I saw a role in a portrayal that I liked, and I bounced. But he was doing other stuff, and I don't think he really wanted it. Now,
do you do a cut scene? Do you do a cut scene of like whoever you portray as the other actor? Like they buried T'Challa, and then basically he finds like the mask or something of that nature, and then he grows, something of that nature.
I mean, if they try to fix it now, it's just going to be messy. They should have never killed off the character. I mean, so it's funny because Cat Williams, of all people, has a actually pretty worthwhile quote around this. He was like, all due respect to Chadwick Boseman, T'Challa didn't die. Chadwick Boseman died. And he was like, and in, when white actors pass away or have an issue, they don't kill off the character. Why did they feel the need to do it in this scenario? And he's not wrong, because when Christopher Reeve got paralyzed, they didn't stop making Superman movies. They went and got other actors. When, somebody else who was portraying an actor or a character passed away or died, the character didn't die. The character lived on. And, so I get what they thought they were trying to do, but it actually did the character a disservice. So there were so many more stories to be told around Charlotte. Like, we got one good one and then some weirdness over in animation. Like, there were so many more stories involving that character that could have been told, and they cut it short. And so maybe
they could have done like the Batman thing, right? And kind of like change the costume, but have like an ode to it in like a couple scenes, like the original, maybe costume or something that, you know what I'm saying? Like something different, I guess. Like you said, something different, but
I just don't, the MCU, I think they weren't prepared for like killing them off, how that would affect everything. I thought they were making the right decision, and
I think they didn't want the backlash, right? I mean, not saying
right,
wrong, or indifferent. Like, you just forgot about. I mean, let's be honest. I hate bringing this up, but the Twitter wokeness would have been like, oh, you just forgot.
No,
you know what I'm saying?
Half the community would have been on their ass. So they had a choice to make. Like, I don't envy them. I'm just saying, like, playing armchair quarterback, Monday morning quarterback, I wouldn't have personally have, not continued the character personally. Like, at this point, I mean, I was saying a different tune when it first happened because it was still fresh and raw. But I think in hindsight, it was like, give it a little time, and maybe, don't necessarily use the character, because they didn't need to use the character. Nothing that happened in the confines of that sequel needed to happen at that moment. It didn't really connect. It had connective tissue to the greater MCU universe with introduction of Riri, but then they seemingly have scrapped her series, so it didn't need to happen. Honestly, I guess they thought they needed to keep a certain timeline. They needed these movies to come out like clockwork. But again, I personally, felt like another actor, would have, like, another actor being cast as him. We've seen it before. People are mentioning in the comments, different James Bond. Like, we've had multiple different Supermen. Like, the character had more story to be told. So I don't know.
I mean, okay. So my thing would be, like Fast and Furious. Paul Walker passed away. They kept the fucking movies. I mean, I know they CGI'd him at the end, or whatever the hell they did for that one.
I mean, he's still alive as far as like the character in the movie is concerned. He is still alive. He just never ever shows up anywhere.
Yeah.
But he's still alive though. So I mean, it is what it is.
Take a different path.
Yeah, it's in my wildest dreams, like I always said, like when we were talking about Miles Morales at his height, and I said, man, nothing's going to bring the value of this book down. It's not like this character can go hit a girl and then the book will go, you know what I mean? And like this happens, like it's the other medium is affecting what's going on with collectibles, and it's just, this is Johnathan. This isn't Kang. It's Jonathan Majors. But people say, "Oh, Kang is not going to be a thing anymore." So I'm just not going to collect Kang, And it's wild how so connected, and that's why if these movies don't do well, your books don't do well. Like the MCU needs a streak of like 3 or 4 good movies in a row again to get back to where it can't just be one movie. Okay, we're back. I mean, they need a little mini run, whether it's a Disney Plus. Like if Echo turns out to be really good, and then their next movie, I forgot what the next one coming out is, but if that turns out to be pretty good and they got a little streak going, that'll kind of get everything ramped up again. But man, it can't be good and then dud and then good and then a dud,
Well, I think the other thing too is I know we talk about it too, but I know Marvel isn't everybody's cup of tea right now for whatever reason you have, and I think that's the stigma it has to get over with somehow, and that's going to be hard, especially in the verses of every Facebook comment or every Twitter comment. You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
What do you think they do? Do you think they scrap the multiverse and go in a different direction?
Nah, I think it's still full steam ahead on this multi. I mean, they've
Yeah.
invested too much at this point in this phase to scrap really any of it. And I think the ultimate, and so again, this goes into all those machinations and moving pieces that are involved in, like, say what you will about the planning. They still had a plan because they're trying to get to a point where they can kind of wipe the slate clean from an actor perspective with anybody, because these contracts are getting heavy, man. Like we saw with Robert Downey Jr., like they had to back the Brinks truck up to get him to do the last like 2 movies. Like these contracts start to get heavier and heavier and more expensive and more expensive. And so the logic is like start over with, a younger crop of actors probably, so that they can continue to tell these stories or tell the stories that they have available to them for the next 20 years. Like you can't do that when you have, quite a few actors who are in their 50s, and yeah, 50 is not old, but 50 is old to be doing this shit.
Mhm.
Like to be jumping around and bouncing and getting knocked against walls and shit. Like, 50 plus, some of these people started this when they were in their late 30s, early 40s. They're, in their 50s. Some of them are knocking on their 60s. Hell, Samuel L. Jackson is almost 80 years old at this point.
Isn't that crazy, man?
So yeah, like
Nice.
at some point they got to hit the reset button and start being
It's like Batman, right? Like they redo Batman. I know it's the same origin story, and I always get pissed off about it. But Batman. It's not Michael Keaton at 80 trying to do the same shit. I mean, what I'm saying, like carry a full movie, obviously.
Well, like with the Batman origin, like what else is going to piss somebody off in that way? Of killing their parents, like maybe his dog, but you already have like John Wick, man.
Yeah.
It's like there's only so much. Like, what's going to push this kid over the top into wanting to be there's not much. I mean, it's like the ultimate uh scar for someone, to have their mom and dad killed in front of them. Like,
I mean, this is true too. I mean, I know they paid a lot of money and they made a lot of money off of it, but still, I mean, just like you said, Jonathan Majors was gonna make bank, right? Let's be honest. Like,
oh yeah,
he was gonna make bank. I mean,
because of the talent, the talent that he had. Like and then like when you talk about and recasting a T'Challa, like Chadwick Boseman's talent was like off the charts, man. Like just unreal. And like it's one thing to get that accent down. Like you got to get that down first, and at least make me think you're a T'Challa, But
yeah, man, be interesting to see how it all plays out. So I made a comment about the Western stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, are we at a point where people care again about Western content? Like, have we come back around again? Because I mean, like, I think we talked about this ages ago, but this stuff goes in waves and cycles. And the Western, the era of the strong Western following was what, the 70s?
Yeah. I mean, I would say I hate to say it, but like I know Yellowstone isn't very. I know it's Western based because in Wyoming, Montana, all that shit. But it's like Western, like Yellowstone, all the spinoffs. I know it's good for one season in terms of shit. But I mean, a lot of people like that kind of Western, I guess, kind of thing. But it's kind of hard to.
I mean, did The Hateful Eight do well because it was Tarantino, or did it do well because it was Western?
I think it was more Tarantino than Western, but
yeah, because that one with I mean, as far as the algorithm is concerned, you talk about the joke about like algorithm movies, and it's like these actors, this type of content, it's got to be a hit, and like that one with why am I blanking on it, with Denzel and Chris Pratt, The Magnificent Seven, right?
Yeah.
That one didn't do well at all. Like that did not do well at all. And
like Django did good because I think it was Tarantino, right? I mean, it was still a good movie. Not saying it's terrible, but
yeah, I mean, The Harder They Fall again, was that because of the subject matter, or is it because of the actors who were in it? Because all of them were red hot at the time. I mean, Lakeith Stanfield, Idris Elba, Jesus, Jonathan Majors. Like, I mean, it was a murder's row of like the hot black actors in Hollywood at the time. So it's like, well, did that do well because of it's a Western movie, or did it do well because you had basically gangbusters of actors in a movie at the perfect time? I just don't know if people really care about Western content like that. So again, that's just my opinion.
I think, like, I remember when Tombstone came out, and at first it wasn't like it was word of mouth. Hey, you got to go watch this. This is fucking amazing, right? And then like the video game, like Red Dead Redemption, like that hit pretty well too. So people were like, "Oh man, this is pretty cool." And then it's got to be a great story too. I think I would say honestly, Chris, like what movies were the Magnificent Seven up against? That could have been a factor too, or maybe the movie wasn't just really that good. Man, I think I saw it. I can't remember it. I remember it coming out, but I can't remember if I went to go see it.
Yeah, I mean, again, I may be wrong. I mean, I will watch Western content, but I do wonder if it's because of the nature of how it's done, or if it's truly because, like, oh man, I'm really enjoying watching this Western content. Because
so here we go. I kind of brought her up. So Magnificent Seven. This was way back in 2016. Stork's Sully, which Sully was kind of hot, obviously, because of this whole plane thing. Snowden didn't do that great. Suicide Squad was already out there. They didn't really have any kind of, I guess.
Jason Bourne. God, yes.
We're getting old, aren't we? Jesus.
Man, I wanted to like the Jason Bourne. I mean, like,
I like the Jason Bourne movies. It was okay.
It's all right.
I mean, it wasn't the greatest shit, but it's not terrible. Yeah, I didn't really have much going
on. It's all right. I thought Sully was actually pretty good. So Snowden was pretty badass. But look, man, I'm shocked. Look at the Magnificent Seven made. Is it?
That was first day. This is just one day.
Well, it did have the.
It made 93 million domestic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it made 93 million domestically.
But I feel like, I mean, so what was the budget on though? The budget was 90 million.
90 million.
All right, so double that, because that's just paying people's salaries. That's not taking consideration any type of marketing. So double that, and so if that's grand total, then it lost money potentially.
Yeah.
Like.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, like, and we talked about like Fargo is a good, like Fargo is good. I mean, I'm not saying. I guess we're saying. We're not saying there's bad westerns. Let's kind of backtrack this. We're not saying there's not great westerns. It's just they're just not as many as like coming about. Like there's like for every good western, there's 6 bad westerns. So it's like if you're gonna put your MCU kind of fucking hat on this, you know what I'm saying? It's like I'm gonna do westerns. It's like, well, you gotta bang out 6 or 7 westerns, like one western and go away.
Yeah, you could create. No, go ahead, Chris.
No, go ahead.
No, I was saying, like, you could write a character that it could be like a 3-movie like trilogy to follow this character, and whether it's a rite of passage or it's him being having to become a criminal, a bank robber, like in the Wild West. I don't know, but like that would be something where you follow this character instead of it's just one-shot movies, where you would be looking forward to seeing this Western again, like part 2 or
like
part
Jonah
3.
Hex style or something like that, or like
I don't know. I mean, like just the fact that Yellowstone, I heard so many people, oh, you got to see Yellowstone. You got to see Yellowstone.
Like, Yellowstone, honestly, Yellowstone season 1, like I watched season 1, it was good, and then it just got dumb where it was like they have millions of dollars on the ranch, right? And every plot twist was either we're gonna lose the ranch or we're gonna sell the ranch. It's like, well, if you're gonna sell the ranch, you're gonna get billions of dollars, and if you lose the, you know what I'm saying? It's just like sell the ranch and be done with it. Go move 20 miles down the road. I know they're on a piece of property, but it's like, fuck, man.
Hey, look, that Ringo kid on right there. Click on that one.
This one?
No, bottom left. Right, yeah, that one. So that is that number 1?
That's 20. Ringo Kid 20.
Oh, that's 20. So I think it's issue 1 where he looks like Johnny Ringo from Tombstone, man. It's like almost wearing the same damn thing. So Michael Bean played.
Or maybe that was one.
Yeah, that was one. Yeah, I knew it. Yeah, so like that same outfit, the Cowboys wore with the red sash and all that.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it couldn't hurt. I guess.
I don't know,
this
but
is fun.
some of these older Western books look pretty cool.
Yeah.
Like the way they're drawn. Like I never would consider them a long time ago. Now, if it's a badass cover and it's silver, golden age, I may consider picking up a couple.
That's interesting too. Is that you aren't going to get younger audiences with Westerns? I mean, I like them too, but like I know what you're saying. I mean, how many young kids from the ages of 10 to 18, I guess, are going to go to watch a Marvel Western movie. I don't know. I'm just.
I mean, like I just pulled up real quick the like a list of the Westerns of the 2010s, and I mean, yeah, you're at, like you made a comment, Dino, about for every one success, you got about 6 or 7 that just went straight into the shitter, and it's like, yeah, I mean, for every one on this list that was like did okay, there's a bunch of really, I mean, it's like, and we're not talking like no name actors in these. Like, I mean, it's people who were definitely doing like, I just wanted to check type movies.
Did you do Wikipedia?
I just went to Google and just typed in Westerns of the 2010s. And I mean, you got Bone Tomahawk, which was solid, but God, don't watch it if you got a light stomach. I mean, Django, Hateful Eight, The Revenant, but then you have The Lone Ranger, which shit the bed. You have you had The Ridiculous Six, straight to Netflix, comedy. You have Michael Fassbender apparently was in a Western called Slow West. Didn't hear about that shit. Donald and Keith Sutherland were in a movie called Forsaken. Never heard about that thing. Sam Shepard. I mean, like, there's a lot of these with notable actors.
You guys remember when Young Guns came out?
Yes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
So like that. They had a bunch of young up and coming actors, and I mean that and soundtrack, and
I want to talk about this. So Red Dead Redemption was a great. I played Red Dead Redemption. It was just like it was a nostalgic game because not too many Western games came out that were like perfect like that, and I think it was just a perfect storm where it was like everybody wanted something new. Everybody was tired of playing Call of Duty and all that type of stuff, and they're like, "Oh, Red Dead Redemption." It was Grand Theft Auto, but in the goddamn West. Everybody loved it.
Yeah.
You were on a horse. It was fucking great.
Yeah, I mean, making the equation to Red Dead Redemption, and like, I mean, you also got to take consideration that like that's the only thing that Rockstar has put out with everybody like in the last since Resident or not Resident since Grand Theft Auto 5.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it's like here's my Grand Theft Auto game until I get my Grand Theft Auto game. Like it's been 12, 15 years since the last Grand Theft Auto game.
Yeah.
So like you can't really be like, oh man, people are really fiending for a Western because look at how Red Dead Redemption did. It's like, nah, that's because that's Rockstar, and Rockstar just makes amazing games, and people were just like needing a game from Rockstar at that point.
Yeah, I mean, and people are saying like I know they have spinoffs and stuff like that. Not saying it's terrible. I'm just saying like again. They made spinoffs, and some people don't like the spinoffs, and some people we're not hating on all these great stuff that comes out. It's just saying that.
Yeah, it's like if they truly dropped because you're talking niche of niche now. Like it's not just it's a Western. It is a like Marvel
it's like a war
comic.
movie, right? It's like a war movie. It's like for every Saving Private Ryan or Band of Brothers, there's every 60-year-old veteran or any veteran, I guess, goes to see every war movie because that's what that's what their life is. And it's like,
I mean, Dunkirk didn't do that well. Like for every
No.
and what was that other one about the two boys who were like it was World War I, and they were like running across trying to deliver the message of like the the coming attack that was happening. I don't remember what the name of it was, but yeah, it was like I want to say one of the kids who was in the Kingsman was in it, like. But yeah, it was like a World War I movie.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like
shit. What's the title?
And like, again, nobody went and saw that shit. Yeah, 1970.
Like
nobody went and saw that shit.
Unbroken, right? It's Unbroken.
No, it was 1917. But like nobody went and saw.
Oh, 1917.
Yeah,
like nobody went and saw that.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that these movies don't have an audience.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm not saying, but like, I think they're successful not because they are Western, because they are good content. Like if you're making something good, it's something good, and nobody's going to care what the surrounding narrative is. If you got a fan base for it, cool. But I mean, we're seeing it now. Like, comic book fatigue is happening because if you don't have a good narrative around your comic book content, people aren't going to go watch the shit.
Mhm.
Like, it's like them days are gone now.
What's the movie Tarantino did? The Western.
Hateful Eight.
Hateful Eight.
Or
And I
Django.
remember what kind of sold me to go check it out was the way Tarantino shot the film. I think what was it, 70 millimeter or something like that.
Yeah, he shot in 70 millimeter.
Yeah. So I was like, man, I haven't seen like on a big screen 70 millimeter, and that kind of like you've got to do something like to differentiate yourself if you want like this genre of movie to work. Like maybe
And he brought big names. I mean, these aren't like small. I mean, you know what I'm saying? I mean, they're older.
Well, and then Tarantino movies are an event, and this was even more so one, because this one had a road show. He went around to all of the remaining like 70 real film 70 millimeter theaters that were all over the U.S. Like, again, that I'm not trying to be Mr. Poo Poo on westerns, but I'm saying you were describing unicorn scenarios of success.
Yeah.
And it's like it's a Quentin Tarantino event. Now, if the same movie had come out and it was made by, I don't know, like Edgar Wright, would it have done as well? Maybe, maybe not.
I think Tarantino has a loyal fan base. Like there's a bunch of people like, oh, I'm going to see every Tarantino film because I'm a fan of Tarantino. He's his own salesman at this point. It's almost like Scorsese, right?
Like, now westerns have got to like it's got to be the perfect storm for them to like pop off. Like,
but again, too,
it's
like
always.
how many
It seems like the ones that like word of mouth, like, no, you need to go check it out. It's badass. Like that's when like after the first week, but then it picks up. Like it's got to be one of those movies because a lot of people don't, unless it's an event like this Tarantino movie. Like not a lot of people are going to rush out to see it.
See, and this is the other thing too. It's like I know there's fatigue for city superhero movies, but Infinity War, Endgames. I mean I think, and I always talk about this too, and I know I hate kind of bringing it up and retreading on this stuff, but I think too, it's like I think they hit it's a bottom of a ninth, and they needed a grand slam, and they hit 7 of them. It's like at that, it's so hard to reproduce that, like
But the fans told you what they liked, right?
Yeah.
So like the street level Netflix stuff of Daredevil and Kingpin and the Punisher. And then you try to make it campy, right? And you were saying, well, it's because it's Disney Plus, but you put those Netflix shows on the Disney Plus platform. So I'm scratching my head. You can't make this content because why?
Well, I think that's the reason is
you see what I'm saying?
I get it. They're just trying to appeal to kids. I think it's like you're alienating. I hate to say it, you're alienating their primal audience theoretically. I know what you're saying. If you just did gritty movies, right, it would knock out us old people. But they, how many 12-year-old kids are gonna go see that? Like you're gonna let a 12-year-old kid watch The Punisher from Netflix? I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, man, kids look. They all. I
used to watch rated R movies.
They're watching. Like, if you think these kids aren't seeing that content at school, you're crazy. Yeah. Like, oh, I'm not saying check this out. I got my parents' Netflix account. We can watch it right now.
It's one thing that and don't get me wrong. Like, yeah, kids are absolutely, but like, you can't bank on that. That's the issue. Like, you can't put forth a rated R movie and have a McDonald's like Happy Meal campaign behind it. It ain't gonna happen.
I get it.
Like,
I get that too.
Yeah, you just can't do it. That's the biggest issue is that, like kids are going to sneak in and, they're going to find somebody who's going to buy them a ticket and they're going to see it in some capacity, but you can't bank on that. I mean, like that rated R, like being on a film, I mean, there are people at the box office who treat that like it's governing law. There is nothing in the book that says that that you can't just let in a 12-year-old into a rated R movie. But they probably won't have a job because of it. Like, the theater's going to have something to say about it. But there's like, the MPAA is a nice to have. It ain't like a governing body of any real like merit. But yeah, I mean, people take it as gospel, so they're not going to let their kids go see a rated R film. They're going to, be like, oh, we're going to go see this family friendly shit. This PG-13.
Well, could you imagine the hype back in the day? It's like I wasn't alive back then, but it's like, like all these like horror movies that came out in the 70s, like kids sneaking in to see that stuff. Like you don't see that nowadays. I mean, it'd be dope just to go back to like the movies, like kids are sneaking in to go see movies again. But
yeah, well, I mean, but let's not forget, like there was a time period when like the rated R or like the close to rated R or like pushing that boundaries comic book movie thing did happen. Nobody went and saw them shits. Like, let's not forget about basically the era that was brought on by Blade and like that whole like segment of Marvel adjacent stuff that we were getting, like Punisher Warzone. Like nobody went and saw them shits. Like that was during that time period of, I mean,
you're waiting for a DVD for $5 or a Blockbuster rental.
Yeah, so it's like, so you weren't getting the toy revenue, you weren't getting the McDonald's or Blockbuster or the Burger King tie-in revenue from this.
The comic books were the shitter.
Yeah, the comic. I mean, so like we've seen it before. Like yeah, we love Marvel, Netflix, but you can't take your kids to see that in studio. I mean, the average parent is just not going to do that. Mm-hmm. Like, so, I mean, I'd love to see it happen, but let's be real about it. That you can't bank the franchise if you can't sell toys. Like toy sales, like, yeah, that $1 billion, over its theatrical run is cool, but that tens of 20 of like $100 billion of video game and toy revenue is what you get on the back end from having something that all those kids went and saw.
I'm going to be so mad if Echo is really good and it's gritty and and I'm going to be thinking you cheated us out of a good Hawkeye show by not going this route,
Yeah, I get it. You're all on this Hawkeye or on this Echo thing. I like this trade that you're rolling.
Hey man, like, because they pumped Echo so much, and then I was like, what are we doing here, man? And then what they did to Daredevil and She-Hulk was just unforgivable, bro. Like, what the hell are you doing? Because I had high hopes when he came out in Spider-Man as this lawyer. You remember that, where he caught that brick, and I was like, oh shit, like, but they just went the other way, and I'm like, what are you doing, man? Like, you've already got it's like, and then these directors and writers and actors, they're not following source material, like Taika Waititi, how they just destroyed the Gore the God Butcher storyline.
I guess Echo trailer is super violent, so no, I don't think it's come out yet. So
no, it comes out after Christmas.
Because what drops during Christmas, I didn't
five episodes.
The new What If season comes out during Christmas, like the 22nd. So just in case, I think it dropped the 22nd. I think it's the first one, and then it goes off like 8 days of Christmas.
Yes, it's an episode a day until the 30th.
Do you guys think this What If is going to give us a clue about like where they're going to go? Because the What If, the first one had Doctor Strange, and that kind of led into Multiverse of Madness. So I don't know. There may be a clue as far as where they're going to go. I don't know.
I mean, I can see it happening. I mean, like I said, they used it as a testing ground. I mean, also it was Doctor Strange, Multiverse of Madness, because we had what's her face, Captain Britain, or whatever. Whatever her name was. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, we'll see what that ends up.
Yeah, I mean, these are just,
and that's a new character right there. The Native American.
She's 100% original character. Yeah,
brand new. So be on the lookout for like her first comic. If this plays well, then that book, and then that might be something that they try introducing new characters in future Disney Plus shows, and then you look forward to go and buying that first appearance in a comic book form, that could be a thing. So
Yeah, but that would imply that they actually had worthwhile synergy between what was happening in comics and what they were doing in
yeah,
television and movies. Like that is one thing that Marvel has always kind of shit the bed on was the connective tissue between what was happening in the comics back to what was happening in film. They were always chasing their tail to a certain degree where they're like, oh, that was successful in movies. Now let's make the comics look like that now. Instead of like having it like, I mean, hell, like Matt Fraction will tell the story. Like if you ever asked Matt Fraction about like why he did Hawkeye, it was like, so we knew that this Avengers thing was coming out and that Hawkeye was going to be in it, and they told us that we need to do something with Hawkeye. That is the reason why Hawkeye with Matt Fraction and that beloved book happened. Is because Marvel's like, yeah, he's going to be in the movies. Do something with him so that they get off our ass. Like that just shows you how little like forethought and planning they are doing in this connectiveness. When like you have a mate, like you'd already established that like those lead up films were big successes. So why would Hawkeye not be well received? You should probably try and do something that really people are going to be able to. And I mean, that book was underprinted. You struggled to get copies of it. A lot of people had to wait till the trades came out. Like they shot themselves in the foot. They didn't put the effort into. And I mean, yeah, now you'll get like a half-assed attempt. It's like, oh, let's release the dollar issue of the first appearance of that character. Like if you start seeing those showing up, that means that character is probably going to have something in a movie or television show. That's about it. That's all they give you now. They tried with Blade's daughter, and there's supposed to be some connective tissue there between the movie, but they can't get out of their own fucking way on that one. Excuse my language. So I don't know. We'll see.
This comment, Mag Daddy says, I must have missed something. What was the segue from Marvel multi-universe? We were just saying, if they don't do the multiverse, can they do other genres that? And we kind of went down the Western genre because they were talking.
Yeah,
comments were going into Western kind of thing. So
no, like this is a blow for Marvel Disney by letting go Jonathan Majors, because like we make it sound so easy to recast somebody, and they've done it before, but like you based your whole plot line around this whole multiverse thing around this character, and like,
you ready, Chris? You ready for my
I don't know.
recommendation?
Maybe it is going to be easy. Maybe Chris is right. Maybe
I got the answer. I got the answer. We're gonna bring back Terence Howard. It's gonna go full circle. We're bringing back Terence Howard.
Jesus.
I like Terence Howard's character, and I wonder how good the other Iron Mans would have been had he been
with
in
Terence Howard. Yeah.
And not to say Don Cheadle, like he's a hell of an actor. Like you could put his resume up against anybody in Hollywood, man. He's a hell of an actor. But I just felt like that first movie that Terrence Howard and Robert Downey Jr. had some chemistry there, and you felt like they were friends.
Oh,
like
they actually were.
Like right. You felt like they were boys. You know what I mean?
So they actually were friends in real life. Terrence Howard got the role before Robert Downey Jr. did, and he, let him tell it, but I think there's actually a certain element of truth in it. He was like, "Oh, I reached out to Robert and was like, hey man, like they're doing this thing. I think you'd be, you should probably, come and like, read for it." And yeah, he was the one. He was like cheerleading for Robert Downey Jr. because they are actually friends, and he kind of at least claims to be the one who brought him in to be a part of it.
This is interesting too. This little comment about you're talking about linking the comics to the movies. Marvel was doing a bad job of linking comics to movies. When Last Miles came out, obviously the Spider-Verse had a bunch of kids coming in and look for 29.9 stuff, and Marvel had nothing out for them.
Yeah,
for a character.
Again, it's like people who have LCSs will speak to it. It's like they struggle, man, because like kids watch these movies and want content. Like if your LCS is kid friendly, their parents are coming in and being like, "Oh man, my kid loves Miles Morales after seeing Into the Spider-Verse. Like my kid loves so and so. What do you have?" And you have shop owners just sit there being like, I can go pull some of these old trades or whatever, and but as far as getting your kid on on a subscription and pulling floppies and ultimately helping the LCS. Because to be real about it, I mean, like Three Rivers can probably speak to it. Like trade money's nice, but that's a one and done transaction. Getting somebody to commit to a subscription for their kid and getting, talking them into, setting that up and having that recurring business going is really what an LCS wants.
I think for me, as having a younger kid now who's only 3 going on 4, it's like he watches like Paw Patrol and all that stuff. Toys out all the time, right? Different variations. All the new every Christmas, Easter, whatever. They're just pumping out new toys or new episodes and new everything. Now I know it's easier with cartoons where you can just kind of do everything, but that's what they kind of need to go back to. Like I know it's hard because you got to write so many different books and you got all this other stuff, but
I mean, but there was a time though when like the early days of Marvel, when they had like they stayed constantly putting out new content for kids from a animated perspective. I mean, you had the Ultimate Spider-Verse series, you had what was it, Earth's Mightiest Avengers, whatever that was. Like, they had multiple things out there like that kids could watch. Where the hell is all that content at? Yeah. Like, I get that now that like they are now back doing their own thing and it's under Marvel and
they're bringing back 97, but none of the new kids might like that, but it's going to be for old heads like us.
I mean, I think honestly they did themselves a little bit of a disservice by bringing everything into the greater Marvel fold or Marvel Disney fold instead of licensing the shit out to other companies, because now the responsibility is on them to produce everything. Whereas you could be like, here, you get the Marvel, you get the Avengers, and you get to use Spider-Man in animation, and you get to use this, and just make content. And
or they should have divisions within Marvel, right? This is the animated section. This is and like tear it off, or like you said, like tear it off somehow. Where it's like
yeah, because you can't bring it all in, because what happened? Now we get nothing. Like you get. What if? And now we're going to, I mean, I don't even know if that Spider-Man freshman year thing's even still happening anymore. Yeah. Like we have gotten very little content of kid-friendly stuff being piped out by Marvel over these since Disney acquired them and all those other licenses dried up. Like they are doing themselves a disservice because kids buy toys and kids buy comics, and that's what you want to see happen.
Oh. And I think from a business standpoint, right, you kind of like silo it, right? But I think it needs to be a reverse silo almost, where like you put comics, right, then toys, then your TV and then movies are underneath. You know what I'm saying? And it funnels down that way instead of funneling up, where it's like like toys and stuff are at the top and they get forgot about, and then basically all the movies and stuff are it's not jointed, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. It's again, I get what they were trying to do, but like they bit off more than they could chew, and so now we're getting a log jam scenario where nothing's coming out. Like we control everything, we have all the vision. Yeah, but you ain't got enough money or people to hire to keep it all coming out, because you also want it to all be connected to the greater vision. And yeah, so it's paralysis by analysis. Like you've got too many options, and so you do nothing. And that is where I think Marvel is right now when it comes to the kids' content side of the house.
Well, and I think they need to go, I hate to say it, and people are going to probably disagree. They need to go into DC realm of things where they pick out quality movies and then do animation to fill in the rest of the stuff. Like, yeah, the latest Batman on Prime was terrible, but I mean, what I'm saying? They're filling out animated sections where it can bypass and do decent, like 5 decent movies, or whatever, not 14 different movies. And they're not all the greatest, and 0 animated stuff or 2 animated things.
Yeah, sure.
I digress. Market report time. This ought to be interesting. Mr. Z did this for us, the wonderful Mr. Z. So just the cover, front and back, of just A of 15, $6,100.
Yeah, somebody's about to piece together a Frankenstein. That's about to happen.
Oh, I know. I mean, $6,100. I mean, wow, that's a lot for just a cover. But like you said, a Frankenstein, depends how that cover looks pretty decent, actually. I mean, it doesn't look the greatest, but I mean, it's not terrible either.
I mean, you Frankenstein yourself together a 1.8, you still got what, like a $15,000 comic book on your hand.
Spider-Man 238. CBCS and CGC are professional grading. That's great. So this is a 9.8. It says with tattoos, $1,400.
So have we gotten to this point where like you have to buy the subtitle to inform your customers of what they're looking at?
Hey, it's an extra 50 cents. I don't know how much is it, like a block. I don't know.
I've never purchased one, but yeah, like it's sad because people don't read the descriptions. They're just like professionally graded. You get the grade is the grade. You get what you get.
So here's a good question. So if you Frankenstein a book together, what color label do you get?
You can get a blue label
Well,
if you Frankenstein it properly.
Yeah, you got to use archival tape, so it doesn't appear that you're trying to restore it. You're just trying to conserve it, right? So if it has the looks of conservation versus a restoration, you'll get a blue label.
Right. Well, I mean, hell, even if you are able to run a fast one over on them, like a detached cover comic can still get what, a 3.0 or something like that, or
Yeah.
like so. Like if somebody's just not paying attention and doesn't realize that cover doesn't belong to those guts, like if you get something where the staples line up right-ish, like yeah, you could easily get potentially a 3.0 with a detached cover.
This is a cool book. I always like this book. Batman 30. Undershort 5.0 for a lowly price of $1,136. So, Batman with a gun. This is one of the few ones. Him with the Gatling gun in this cover. Few of them with him holding a gun. So this is one of those few covers that he's holding a gun. Just FYI for people.
No, cool stuff.
Yeah.
You think he's a good shot?
Yeah. I would think so. I mean, he's Mr.
I think we've seen Batman in like something where he's out like shooting and like shows that he actually is an amazing shot, but he just hates guns.
Was it Ra's al Ghul? Maybe was it that first movie?
I think so. Maybe it's been something either live action or I think it actually was animated. But like I think they show Batman is actually an amazing shot, but he just hates guns.
No, that wouldn't surprise me. I don't know about this yet. I got to do more details about this. I saw the video. We talked about it in different chats.
Yeah.
We can talk about that
I'm
next week.
sure, I wouldn't be surprised if that is like numerous books.
Yeah, but I guess they had the same certain. I don't know. So I saw same shirts with different things and custom tags or whatever. But.
Yeah, 99 newsstand. He broke it down pretty good on IG as far as like it's a different book, and like he has good content over there. Shout out 99.
Shout out. Batman 59. Golden Age's first appearance of Deadshot superhero. I've never seen this book around. Obviously, it's got the is it the Bat plane? I guess you would call it. $1,425. So that's a good price. I like that. It's cool cover too. Nice oranges are real nice actually.
Yeah, I never see these type of things out in the wild. I mean, when I say the wild, like I only see them really at cons. I never they never come into LCSs like that for me. Yeah. Like it's just not what people are bringing in. I don't know where they are. Like trying, older folks are unloading this type of stuff, but they're not bringing it into my LCS. We'll get Silver Age, but yeah, I won't see Golden like this. So
I think people will go to like Heroes Con in Charlotte and they just bring it to the con and like try to do trades and whatever they try to do there.
Yeah,
maybe is what I'm thinking. Another Batman book, Batman 92. Another great back cover. $737 for Bat Hound and Ace the Bat Hound.
Yeah, Blizzard was having a weekend, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was.
Yeah, man.
Look at this, is another one. Brave and the Bold 28, 3.0 for $2,000. So I think it's relatively back down to where it should be. Kind of. I know this book was kind of going ballistic when Justice League was coming out, but it kind of settled back down into where it goes. So that and Justice League 1, obviously with a checkerboard cover. Brave and the Bold 57, 7.5, $520, which is nice. It's a high grade. It's tough to get a high grade with the purple cover and stuff.
Yeah,
I've seen all of the ones I've seen are beat.
Yeah, I passed on one just because I was like, this thing looks like it had been through the ringer, and I was like, it can't be any more than maybe a 2.5 or a 3.
And I think Z was trying to go after like an 8. Maybe he got one. I know he was trying to go after a high grade one. We'll talk to him when he comes back next week or 2 weeks. This book's kind of down, obviously. Captain Marvel 17 second print.
Wow.
Signed Kamala Khan 1290.
Yeah, it's down a lot because I used a raw, like I sold a raw copy. No, not raw. Sorry, a Blue Label 9.8 I bought it raw, sold it for 2,500, and used it to buy my first giant size. So like that just shows you where the market has changed since 2019.
I guess they're going back to this whole ASM 252. I guess there's 9 pages on the CGC forum too if people want to go there. Check it out. This book has been blowing up. Crime Suspense 22, $6,300 for a 3.5. Or this used to be 1,000 a point, now it's double that.
God, man, that's a creepy cover. Dude.
It's the greatest cover around, man.
Yeah.
It's so hard to
God,
find too.
yeah, that's just awful, man.
No, one of those are going for like $2,000, so it's interesting now.
No, I mean the artist is just crazy that they had those kinds of comics, and like,
I know.
Can you imagine they did something like that with?
They should.
Well,
with
so
Marvel
they did.
and DC?
Well, there was an homage to it. It was Wolverine holding Sabretooth's head.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
But that was also at a different time. That was like what, early 2000s like time period. That was back when Marvel was just like, whatever, man. We're about to go. Like we're fighting this, trying to fight off bankruptcy. We're going to do whatever we can. At this point.
Yeah, it was 2007.
Yeah, so that was a time where like you could not release a comic like that nowadays. I think at least not on Marvel. Like Image could get away with it, and Skybound, and that whole independent crew could get. But at this point now, the expectations for at least Marvel is that you're the family-friendly company. DC, you're for kids. I mean, let's not bring up the Batwing scenario, but that should have never been as big of a deal if it was, because that comic was never meant for kids. But people weren't policing their kids and letting them go grab, oh, it's a Batman comic. Yeah, sure, you can have that. And then there's a penis in it. And all of a sudden now it's like, oh, it's a problem. It's like your kids shouldn't have been reading that. Like,
well, it's one of those retailer variant kind of things where it's not that bad yet. You know, we see the diamond retailer things go crazy, and $261. I mean, I don't know if East and West ever gets made, but I mean,
it's a great series. It's an amazing series, but yeah, we'll see if it ever gets. I mean, honestly, I think this one's got a better chance than most of. It's got a better chance than Saga. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I agree. A little rare third print of Incredible Hulk 377, so a 9.8 for 4,500 plus.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a tough book. I remember that was on the G Plus era days. People were looking for those back in the day. Incredible Hulk, or Iron Man 282, 9.8 for $613. Newsstand.
I got 2 of the 2.98s of those.
Nice, look at you.
Yeah, paid like $10 each for them.
Nice.
And I remember it was in a binder. Some guy had put all his books in a binder, and I bought out the whole binder. So
nice.
I think there was like 20 books in that binder, $10 a piece.
Did you loading this one up on eBay after the show?
Oh no, man! I'm a hoarder, dude. Like I've got one comic on eBay that's been on there for over a year. And that's it.
Okay. Talk about Disney and the mouse and everything. Mickey Mouse #2. High grade 7.0. I think almost $2,000. 19, no, $2,000. Call it with shipping. So I love this cover. Cowboy Mickey. Can't beat it.
It's a Western.
It's a Western. Well, I'm sure Mr. Z bought this. So I'm joking. I don't know. Marvel premiere or previews 95. Miles Morales 9.8. $1,400. I haven't been tracking this book, so
I'm just so confused as to, again, the whole preview thing. And I mean, I saw this and I was like, like first Miles Morales like cover. I'm like, well, technically yes, but that's a previews and it's the cover for a comic. Like,
correct.
I don't know. Hold on a second. Give me a split second. I think I still have that book sitting in a box somewhere. Let's see if I can pull out and do some magic real fast. Like here, let me Continue on, and
Okay.
I'm gonna go on mute and see if I can
I
find
got
it.
you. Here you go, Hood Punisher. Your Punisher 1Z cover, $715, still going strong. Still going strong out here.
It's still an awesome book, man.
I love this cover.
Right.
I wish I would have
remember
bought more
when
of these back in the day.
Oh man, I remember when it came out and like the art was so different on a cover. Like
I remember
it
these were like
almost reminded.
$5 back in the day. People had long
Yeah,
boxes.
dude.
I don't give a fuck about this cover.
Like when someone would like artsy up a book, like you remember Web of Spider-Man, the number one
Mhm.
in that cover. I forgot who did the cover, but it was like, man, this is crazy, beautiful art. And it's
Yeah, so sit in a box somewhere, 9.8.
Sorry. Yeah.
So I'm just like, so does that make this now a 12? Because it's the actual cover, not the preview of the book. It's the actual book. So
what's the notation say? Anything?
Origin of Spider-Man Miles Morales, polyback removed. So I mean, it's his origin story, but yeah, they don't talk about it being his first. I mean, they don't do that whole first cover thing. You'll get an appearance notation, and you'll have to figure it out.
So you know that was driven by like people wanted the first, right? And we still do that. What's the artist first? Oh, this his first one. It beat it by a month. So this is really his first work, you know. And
I mean, that's why they clicked the Nintendo powers for J. Scott Campbell, right? I mean,
yeah, and I mean, like we did that in the card game. We did the pre-rookie card, and everybody went down the rabbit hole in minor league cards back then.
I mean, how they're doing it with first games, like Michael Jordan's first ticket ever in high school, or Kobe Bryant's first high school game, or some shit. Like, you know, it's like how rare can you go down the rare rabbit hole? You know, it's like, oh my god, you know. Interesting. So, I don't want to say manufactured rareness, but you
know, yeah. But I know those previews, everybody poo-pooed them, and like that's why it's so tough to find a 9.8, you know.
Okay, guys, you guys tell me about this book. I don't know anything about this. It's a variant, Spider-Man Life Story.
Holy shit! 3. I didn't know it was going for that much.
$281 bucks.
Jeez,
dude, I got like 2 of those, man.
Yep, $281
in a long box somewhere, man. That's crazy.
Green, what up? Yeah, Spider-Man Life of Story 3, man, 80s. I guess that's he saw it was just a variant that was not.
Look at this guy's feedback, man. 93%. Get the fuck out of here, bro.
Oh, wow.
I wouldn't buy jack shit from you, dude.
Whoa.
Click on this dude, man.
Oh, you want to click on this dude? Oh, you want a little deep dive?
Yeah, man. Give me 93%.
Give me a second here.
Like, you get what you asked for, bro. Like, when you start bidding on a book with someone with 93, you ain't going to get it on time. There's going to be some bullshit. It's not going to come shipped right. It'll come in a mailer. Like, you buy books from people that have those kinds of numbers, man. Like, you deserve it, dude. Like, I can't believe he burned me. Oh, look at the feedback, dude.
Let's go next. Let's see what he said. Had condition like it's a video game. Had condition like new, but game didn't work at all.
Okay. Wow. Okay.
Seller assured no cracks or issues with the game. Game arrived, cracked around center of the ring. So interesting. It looks like he sells video games too. Let's see what he actually sells. Oh yeah, video games, other things.
Is that cologne? He's selling cologne too.
Selling cologne, man. Is that Nautica Blue Water? Oh wow, I'm aging myself.
Yeah. It's legit.
It's legit. Yeah, it looks like these video games and other stuff. So, probably a guy just buying stuff and reselling.
Yeah, dude. That's somebody with all that shit's probably on the floor somewhere. And
whoa.
Let me check my files.
Yeah, man, deep dives. I call it eBay expanded deep dive searches. We try to go into people's lives and destroy. No, I'm joking. Secret Wars 8s. So newsstand 9.8 versus a regular 9.8. So $586 for a regular 9.8 and $1130 for a newsstand.
I mean, that newsstand would have like, and again, this goes back to that conversation. Like, I know me and Leg have had this conversation before about like true rarity because people will be like, "Oh, newsstand." Like, yeah, there's definitely a point when newsstands were more prevalent than direct edition because comic book stores were, um, were definitely less of the standard.
Mhm.
But more so, it's like having a book that was sold at a non-comic book store at this time period means that the people who were putting, and I say this and I'm getting to be a broken record, but the people who were handling this shit could give two shits about making sure that they were like maintained in any type of like worthwhile fashion.
Correct.
Because I mean, most of my early comic book purchases were newsstands because I was getting them on road trips, like going back and forth between Florida or up north to see my family in Connecticut. So I was getting these things from like Eckerd Drugs and Rite Aids and wherever random places that my parents stopped that sold comic book, whatever gas station or convenience store they popped their heads into. And yeah, them shits were just jammed on a shelf. I mean, you basically stood there and read them as a kid, drinking your drink, eating your candy bar, touching all over them, and then putting them back on the shelf again. Mm-hmm. So for something to survive from the 80s as a 9.8 newsstand, I mean, that is saying something. So,
and let's be honest. I mean, when did they actually bag? I mean, when did they have bags and boards, like real bags and boards? Like,
so 75, I think, is when they first came on the scene, but they were still like a niche market thing that you only really were going to find in comic book shops. But like most stores, even to this day, don't bag and board their books on the shelf.
Yeah,
because it's like, actually, it's funny because my LCS used to, and then they stopped, and they realized that they started selling more comics when they stopped bagging and boarding brand new books because people could flip through them. Like if it was like an image number one, they had a higher likelihood of selling books once people realized what was in the book to like they could flip through it and read it a little bit. But when it's bagged and board on the shelf, people weren't doing that. So
I mean, for me too, it's like I go to stores too, and I don't know about you guys, but I hardly ever see comic stores like have a shit ton of bags and boards either. It's like, oh, 3 bags and 3 sets of boards, and that's about it.
Yeah. Well, because they know that people buy it from like Amazon or wherever they can get the cheapest deal. They go directly through Gerber or whatever. But I mean, I worked at my uncle's LCS when this book was on the wall, you know, and we used to bag and board. Man, that's all I did was fucking bag and board and put boxes together. And but like big books like this, like I remember like we would put middle boards in the spine in between where the staples are and a backboard, and that's how we bagged and boarded the books at our shop, you know. And it wasn't that uncommon. We'd go to shows, and that's the way that we bag and board, like. And that was right around the time 83 84 when they started having clear bags. And so when, you know, and they like delved in, there was some like not mylar, but like almost like a harder like a 4 mil type of thing, also that you could put your like book in also. So I mean, that was right around the time that people started leveling up and protecting their books, like 84 85.
We always bring it. UF4 signed. Bendis and Bagley.
Damn.
9.6.
Holy shit.
4,000.
We saw a 9.6 last week. Autograph sell for 6,000, dude. Mm-hmm. Holy shit.
I mean, it's also about having the proper following too. I mean, this person has what 910 transactions to their credit. So I mean, they're not a Blizzard. They don't have 12,000. They're not on people's follow list, and that does make a difference. A book like this, you probably are better off, you know, if you don't have the following, put it in the hands of people who can sell it for you, who do.
Mm-hmm. Wow, I would have cried, dude. Sending that book off. I mean, we'll see if
he actually ships it, right?
Like we're in this wave, man. Like, because it'll come back again. Like, I mean, these are big boy books, man.
Well, I mean, once we finally get the live action Miles stuff, I mean, like it's at this point, it's like if you're selling Miles books, like major Miles books at this point, you just don't care because it's already been stated. Like Kathleen Kennedy was like, no, we're definitely not Kathleen Kennedy. What's her face who runs the show over at Sony? But yeah, she was like, we definitely are doing something with live action Miles. Like she said that at the premiere of Across the Spider-Verse. So
yeah,
just bide your time. Like a couple more years. Like you've already gone this long with those books.
Yeah.
What's another 2 or 3 years to see if you can maximize your value? Of what can be maximized in this current market.
So this is what he sold, or she sold, whoever sold. So
wow, the all one seller.
Yep.
Wow,
some Funkos and shit. So just interesting things I see.
somebody's just getting the fuck out. You know what I mean? It's like sell it all.
Some of these are SDCC and New York Comic Con exclusives too. So I'm just kind of wondering what the deal is with. I don't know. Does somebody just end up acquiring somebody else's collection? Did somebody pass away? Like what's happening here?
Or is that loaded? Is it a divorce? I've seen a bunch of those.
Oh yeah. Please, I'm sorry.
I didn't mean
it.
I mean, shit.
I won't talk to her again.
I mean, real quick story before we head on the next book. I mean, that's how I got my 9.4 Hulk 181 was on the I think it was he was on Reddit and was like, yo, I hate to do this, but like the wife's like going through a divorce, wife's taking half, like needs half the money for the house, so I got to sell some stuff or I got to sell the house. One or the other's going to happen.
I said the same boat. I got remember to see a Ohm She-Hulk back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
This guy had that book. I had like 5 of the top. Remember the big 100 variant list they had on the CBSI they back in the day. I had like the top 5 of those books because some guy in Texas was going through a divorce that my buddy Tony found, and he was like, "This guy's going through a divorce. He needs to buy everything." And we just sent him payments every month of like $400, $500.
Wow,
it's crazy, insane. Yeah. X-Men 297 Pressman gold variant, little 9.0 for $219.
Nice.
Walking Dead 198, $2,605.
I mean, that one's still holding strong for what it is.
Yeah, Walking Dead fans, they love it. So, and then last but not least, we talked about it. Web of Spider-Man #1 newsstand, $466.
Yeah, I remember that book when it came out, and it was drawn so different than what you saw, on other Spider-Man books. And I was like, man, why isn't this book like worth more? And for years it was just, it's web and one, you know what I mean? But man, as the years go by, it just looks better and better. It's one of my favorite covers.
Yeah, I mean, of the Black Suit books, that is one of the best looking ones to come out. Like, I mean, it didn't have the significance of 252 or Secret Wars 8, but I mean, I'd say it's more significant than what was that Marvel Team Up? Like, what was that Marvel Team Up 181?
Yeah.
Like of those books, I'd say it's a better looking cover and a more meaningful piece of artwork.
I'm always a fan of Coy Cakes. Back in the day, he loved this book.
Coy.
Spectacular Spider-Man 101.
Yeah, I mean, that was John Byrne just doing amazing work with Negative Space. Like he was just on. Like it's cool to see a trend of an artist just being like, I'm just doing some different shit right now. Yeah. Like I'm in my Negative Space bag right now, and I'm just gonna do that for about 7 or 8 issues, and then I got out my system. I move on to something else. But it's cool being able to see that through the progression of an artist, artists who were willing to take chances and step out of their comfort zone and just being like, that's cool. I want to do some cool shit. I'm going to do a bunch of Negative Space.
Yeah, and it's kind of like tattoo artists, right? Like somebody just does black and white their whole life. That's all they can do, and then somebody challenges them to do something else and they can't do it. It's like you gotta stretch your limits and become a better artist. Like,
as a big tattoo fan, when the industry started heading in that direction of people when the tattoo artist got away from being a consignment artist and being like, you know what, it may not necessarily be my thing, but I'm paid to do artwork, so I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
Versus now, where like these last like 10 years or so just turned into, I only do this particular style.
I'm a portrait person or whatever.
I do this thing and I don't do anything outside of that. Or even worse, man, where it's like, I draw with that, like the artist being like, I draw what the hell I want. You go into a raffle and maybe you win the chance to get that piece out of my Instagram. But I'm not doing shit that you asked me to do. I draw what I want, and you're just a canvas to me. Yeah. When that's what happened to the industry, I was just like, maybe it's time for me to stop getting tattooed. So,
pickups, people. Anybody got pickups? You want to show one?
It's just a book that we've been waiting on to finally come back from CGC because they finally got some magazine holders. But
dang.
So we have the 8.0 bought in the UK. To go with the 9.2 of the second appearance. So highest grade on the census of her second appearance, even though it's not listed on the label, which sucks. So nice little 1-2 combination of, and damn, I just realized like how much heavier these new slabs are because they were just like to get it out the door. I just realized they put it in an old slab.
Is it a magazine?
Yeah, it's the old magazine slab, but these are the new magazine slabs. So they're basically done up like a comic book slab. They have all the same dimensions and everything, so they're heavy as fuck. But yeah, I was like, wow, the old slab is so much lighter in comparison to this heavyweight new magazine slab.
They're giving PGX a run for their money.
Yeah,
hit somebody with that thing.
Oh yeah, but yeah. So just wanted to show that off, and I mean, I've got a bunch of stuff that you guys already saw that finally came back from CGC. Oh, and of course the corner of the slab's cracked.
Nice.
Damn it. I swear to God. Back out the door goes. You guys just fucking me, I swear.
Hood, you got anything? Nothing? Something?
No.
I don't have anything. I'm losing.
Probably go to the LCS this Wednesday and buy myself a Christmas present without any.
Yeah. So next week I got off. Maybe I'll hit up. So there's a bunch of places called I guess maybe I shouldn't tell you. I'll give away some free cornbread this Christmas time. There's Detroit. Detroit has this little place called Comic City, and they have like they have a bunch of stuff. But over here behind their wall of stuff, they have like variants back there for like $3. And it's just like 1 in 25, 1 in 100. I mean, you just don't know. You know what I'm saying? Until you go in there and it's just like 75% off, 80% off, 90% off these variants that have been sitting around forever. So I just kind of go in there and kind of look. Some of them aren't crazy, and some of them are, but you can order weekly from these guys. I just don't go there that often.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So, maybe I'll have some stuff. Maybe I'll go to Second and Charles too. I haven't been down there in a while. So come on, man, show them Star Wars figures.
Nah, man, they're put up, man. They're put
look
up.
at you. Tomorrow, me and Carter for our show on Tuesday. I think Comic Shop Topic could be on Friday, and then we're gonna play it by ear next week. I know Christmas is on Monday. Maybe me and Carter, because Carter has no life like me. We can do a Tuesday show, and everybody wants to come on then. I know a lot of people have vacations and whatnot and stuff. Hang out, and maybe it's a massive show on Tuesday. And that's all we got. So
cool, man.
Cool. All right, I appreciate everybody.
Alert. Johnathan Majors got fired. I just got an alert.
Oh, dang. It was on the Instagram. Cool. So we appreciate everybody, and we'll see everybody next week. If we don't have a thing, everybody have happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year's, all that good stuff.
Yeah, man. You too, bro.
Yep. Later, folks.
Yeah. And we'll talk to everybody later. So.